Most of us think copies come after reality, a photo after face, a map after place. But what if that order quietly reversed? Jean Baudrillard calls the simulacra. But what is simulacra? Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rafi Nursyamsi Darojat, and I am an English literature student at Islamic University of Sultan Agung. And in this video, I would like to briefly explain the Precession of Simulacra by Jean Baudrillard with my poster. This is actually a fun topic, so go grab your coffee or tea. And without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, before we jump to the core of this video, let's get to know a bit better who Jean Baudrillard is. So, who is he? Jean Baudrillard was a French cultural theorist, philosopher, and sociologist. He was born in 1929 and passed away in 2007. He is best known for his sharp criticism of media, consumer culture, and postmodern society, especially how our lives are increasingly shaped by images, signs, and representations rather than by direct lived experience. Baudrillard is famous for introducing the ideas of simulation, hyperreality, and simulacra. Through these concepts, he argued that in modern society, signs, symbols, and images no longer simply reflect reality. Instead, they replace it. People begin to relate more to representations, whether it's on screens, in advertisements, or in media, than to reality itself. The condition leads to what Baudrillard called um, the desert of the real, where the line between what is real and what is artificial fades, collapse, and imitations can feel more real, more convincing, and more powerful than the original reality they were meant to represent. Now, we're going to talk a bit more about one of John Baudrillard's key essays, The Precession of Simulacra. So, what is this essay actually about? The Precession of Simulacra is part of Baudrillard's larger work, Simulations and Simulacra, and it focuses on how reality operates in postmodern society. And in this essay, Baudrillard argues that we no longer live in a world where reality comes first and representations follow. Instead, simulations such as images, media, models, and symbols come before reality and begin to shape it. Over time, these simulations do not just reflect the real world, but replace it entirely. This process creates what Baudrillard calls a hyperreal world, where people experience reality mainly through representations rather than direct experience. As a result, the boundary between what is real and what is artificial slowly disappears. Truth and falseness become difficult to separate because simulations feel more coherent, more attractive, and sometimes even more believable than reality itself. In these conditions, simulations appear more real than real, and society begins to live inside the constructed reality without always realizing it. Next, what is simulacra? Simulacra are copies, imitations, or replicas that no longer have an original reference. In other words, they do not imitate something real. They stand on their own without any original version behind them. Then the question might comes up, like, how is that even possible? Like, how can a copy exist without an original to refer to? It sounds strange, I know. It's confusing, like, and that confusion is completely normal. In fact, it's important. Baudrillard intentionally challenges the way we usually think. because we are used to believing that every copy must come from something real first. And according to him, many things we consider real are actually simulations from the very beginning. We are no longer dealing with pure reality, but with images, symbols, and representations that are repeated over and over until they feel real. So if you are confused, that means the idea is working. I was confused too. And maybe that's exactly the point. Or maybe imagine this. This is a territory, the real one, and this is the map, one-to-one scale map, big map. And you put the map over the territory, you walk on that map, you live, eat, go to sleep, go to school, break the rule, go to jail, watch this video, you live on that map, okay? The map was so detailed and it feels real to you. And let's say year by year, decade by decade, century by century, this map got destroyed, got worn, and the territory, the real one, broke out of the map. And you cannot distinguish the difference between the territory and the map because the map itself has become territory to you because it feels real. Therefore, the territory, the real one, has been forgotten. And that is simulacra, ladies and gentlemen. And simulacra don't appear instantly. They develop slowly over year by year, over a period of time. To explain this process, Baudrillard gives us 4 stages for this thing, the 4 stages of the image, as you can see. And this pumpkin illustration, I found it from Reddit actually. Maybe it could help you to understand it easier. The first stage is the sacramental order, or reflection of a profound reality. So it is a real pumpkin. It exists. It can be grown, touched, harvested, and eaten. And at this stage, the image or representation still faithfully reflects reality. There is a clear and direct relationship between the sign and what it refers to. And the second one, the order of maleficence or mass and the natures of reality, a pumpkin pie. It still contains pumpkin, but the pumpkin has been processed, mixed with spices, and altered for a different purpose. The reality is still present, but it has been modified. We are no longer encountering the pumpkin as it is, but a transformed version of it. And the third one, order of sorcery, masks the absence of a profound reality, a pumpkin spice latte. This drink does not only contain pumpkin, yet the absence of pumpkin is concealed by spices that we associate with pumpkin pie. Even though there is no pumpkin at all, we still remember or imagine pumpkin through taste and association. So the idea replaces the reality. Okay, the fourth and final stage is pure simulacrum. Here, the image has completely broken away from reality. For example, pumpkin pie flavored coffee creamer not only contains no pumpkin, but it is no longer meant to refer to pumpkin itself. Instead, it refers to a previous deviation, deviation, the pumpkin flavored coffee. Someone could live their entire life drinking pumpkin pie flavored coffee without ever experiencing a real pumpkin. And at this point, the image refers only to other images. The original reality, the pumpkin, is no longer relevant or even considered real. So when the fourth stage is reached, we enter hyperreality. where boundary between the real and the artificial collapse. Simulations um, no longer represent it, but replace it, often feeling more real than reality itself. And as a result, people begin to prefer simulations over the real, not because they are true, but because they are more convincing, while reality becomes irrelevant. Actually, Baudrillard also gives us an example of simulacra, and that is Disneyland. So he argues that Disneyland is not just a fantasy, it is a model of how society works. It makes visitors believe they are escaping into fantasy, but in reality, their daily lives outside are just as artificial and controlled. To conclude, Baudrillard challenges us to rethink reality itself. Through simulacra and hyperreality, he shows us how images and simulations no longer reflect the reality, but replace it. Examples like the pumpkin illustration and Disneyland reveal that this process is part of everyday life, not just theory. Reality has not disappeared, but our relationship with it has changed. In hyperreal world, the question is no longer, is this real? But does it feel real enough? And that's all from me. Thank you so much for watching this video. See you next time. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye.